Greetings brothers and sisters, thank you for coming back to watch our videos and for subscribing. Thank you so much. I know most of you guys or some of you guys don't know that there has been a diplomatic crisis between Mali and Algeria. And yesterday, which was the 25th of January 2024, the government of Mali terminated the Algiers agreement due to Algeria's hostile acts. So where is all this coming from? We know that terrorism started in Mali in 2012. And we also know that most of the people who were involved in these terrorism activities in the northern of Mali were from the Tuareg, that is the Tuareg groups. So Tuareg is like an ethnicity which is in Mali and also in Algeria. So that is what happened. And because now Mali had to fight the Tuareg, Algeria came in and they created this agreement called the Algiers Agreement in 2015. That is the agreement that was officially called the Agreement for Peace and Reconciliation in Mali, and it aimed at ending the Mali War. It was signed on May 15 and June 15 of 2015 in Bamako after negotiation in Algiers between the Republic of Mali and the coordination of the Azawad movement. That is CMA. Now these are the guys which are majorly Tuaregs. But now coming up to today, this agreement had its own accords, and they would say we want this to happen so that we can do this and this. And that is the time when France was in Mali. Another thing is there was MINUSMA, that is the UN military in Mali. And with all this, it comes to a point where we know terrorism and who uses terrorism in Africa.
For
and
what?
These guys have been talking about terrorism in the Sahel and who uses this terrorism in the Sahel. So obviously, there's these reports of these external entities using these people to destabilize. And now the agreement came with these accords of we want this to happen. And it's for the benefit of who? So come to 2023, MINUSMA is leaving Mali. We have seen the Mali military taking over Kidal, and conquering Kidal. Do you think these guys are happy?
No.
So what happened and where this crisis started is when Algeria called the CMA, that the CMA, that is the Azawad coordination of Azawad movement, the group, the Tuareg group, without Mali involvement. So they called them for a meeting. They never involved Mali. So Mali felt like,
what are you discussing?
Exactly.
This is our war.
Yeah. So remember, Algeria, after Mali reclaimed Kidal, they kept on saying the security of Mali depends on the Algiers movement. But these guys are like, no, we did it without you. So we did it without you. We did it without France. We conquered, and you are saying that the
security.
It depends on the Algeria's movement. No way. So now that is where this crisis started, and we saw them calling the ambassador. So Mali called the ambassador, Algeria called the ambassador, and it's continuing. So we also saw the meeting of non-aligned movement. So what happened in the non-aligned movement?
So let's just get some facts behind the non-aligned movement and how it also triggered more fire into this war. So relations between Algiers and Bamako. So this is what happened during the non-aligned movement meeting in Uganda. It was held in Uganda, I think it's last week. So diplomatic row between the two countries heightened as Malian authorities exposed once again Algeria dirty tricks and lies at the summit of non-aligned movement, NAM, held over the weekend in Uganda's capital, Kampala. So the Malian authorities accused the ruling junta in Algiers of hitting below the belt and using deceptive tactics to impose its own political agenda that undermines Mali's sovereignty. In its final communique, the 19th summit of the non-aligned movement included a paragraph on the Malian crisis, exacerbating tension between the two neighboring countries. During the Foreign Affairs Ministers' meeting preceding the Kampala summit, the Algerian delegation tried, without Mali's knowledge, to impose a paragraph in the final declaration reaffirming NAM's support for the 2015 Algiers agreement signed by the various Malian parties to the conflict. Bamako categorically rejected a text proposed by Algeria at the non-aligned summit in Kampala, Uganda. The text seeks to get support for the Algiers peace agreement signed in 2015 between the Malian government and armed groups.
So guys, the people who first reported this were the Alliance of Sahel States. You know, they have this AES Info account on Twitter, handle. And this is what they said. The government rejects an Algerian text imposed on the Algiers peace agreement. So this text, like you have heard, that they are imposing on the already existing Algiers agreement. So the Malian government forcibly rejected a text proposed by Algeria at the non-aligned summit in Kampala, Uganda. The text aimed to restore strength to the Algiers peace agreement signed in 2015 between the Malian government and armed group. But in his speech, the Prime Minister of Mali, that is the Malian Minister of State, Abdoulaye Maïga, denounced interference by Algeria in the internal affairs of Mali. He also called for the pure and simple withdrawal of the chapter devoted to Mali in the draft final document of the summit. This is what he said. Rules and procedures cannot be more important than the sovereignty of member states. Without changing these rules, there is a high probability of shaving the head of a member state in its absence and without its consent, which resembles witchcraft. So that's what he said. Then, coming to yesterday, we saw now, after he said that they need to be a pure and simple withdrawal, this is what they said. The government announced the end of the Algiers agreement signed in 2015. The Malian government press release specifies that this decision is motivated by three serious facts. Number one, the change in posture of certain groups signatories to the agreement, which have become terrorist actors and pursued by the Malian justice system. The inability of the international mediation to ensure compliance with the obligations incumbent on the signatory armed groups, acts of hostility and exploitation of the agreement on the part of the Algerian authorities, leader of the mediation. So that is what has been happening. And we still see Niger and Algeria meeting for cooperation. We saw Morocco calling the Alliance of Sahel States for a meeting in Morocco where they allowed these guys to use the airport. But we also know that there has been another diplomatic crisis between Morocco and Algeria. So it's like Algeria is having a problem with Mali, trying to create some cooperation with Niger, and still Morocco is coming in now, trying to create more better cooperation with these guys, allowing it. But it all revolves about how you benefit from these guys. But there are people who are insinuating that Algeria is the gatekeeper of France in a way.
For me, it's a whole destabilizing tactic for all of them. We cannot trust any of them. Algeria, Morocco, all of these guys. If they really want to work with these changed people, the Sahel, the AES, they should also start with their governments. So unless they have changes in their governments, we see that these are people who have no who have no alignment with France and all of these other guys. But as long as they're still puppets of France and still working for the interest of these outsiders, for me, I cannot trust them. So I feel like there's external forces pushing all of this pressure from outside to destabilize Mali. You know, these guys are targets still. Assimi Goïta, your Chianis, your Traoré, we have seen like 9 assassination attempts for Traoré already. And it's something not to be taken lightly. And I like that these guys take things very seriously. Like if they don't feel you, the energy around you, they just disassociate themselves with you. So we've also seen that the former president of Mali, he's not happy with this whole Kidal and all of this.
No, I don't think anybody is happy.
So this Algiers agreement was signed when this guy was still in power, the former president of Mali. So he was a puppet of France. So whatever agreements that were in that Algiers agreement, for sure, they have to benefit France. And if you have to come in and continue with that Algiers agreement, and you are working with Algeria, which seemingly has some association with France, it shows that this is an agreement against you. It can never work for you.
It's like they are trying to take credit of Kidal.
Exactly. and Goïta is like, what the hell are you saying? You know, we did it without you guys.
They still want to go under the water to call these guys for a meeting, you know, against the agreement. So if you go against an agreement which we signed,
agree, all of us, we signed
if you go against it, then you have annulled it. So I'm obliged to leave the agreement.
That was the best decision ever.
So kudos to Mali. What you have done is great. You trust in yourself, and you know, I think they are also not happy with the Wagner forces in Mali, but we have seen these guys have helped Mali a bit, and kudos to Mali for what you are doing. Nobody should step on you the wrong way. If the agreement is not working, or if this agreement is just there to serve a purpose for another person and not yours, do away with it. And this should be done not just by Mali, but any African countries. You know, there are deals that we do, agreements that we sign with the Western nations, with the Eastern nations, and we feel, no, they are not for us. Like the former president, the late President Magufuli, when he came to power, he found a contract with China of building a port in Bagamoyo, and he just cancelled the contract and said it looks like the former president who signed this was mad, because looking at the content of the agreement, it's like it's useless. It's not benefiting the people. It's actually
benefiting China.
So we have, as you know, as Africans, once you come to power, just look at the contract. Are they making sense for your country? If they are not, do away with it.
Get out of it.
So kudos to Mali.
And it's good to see that Mali conquered. You know, this is evidence for them to say, honestly, we don't need this nonsensical agreement. Because Tuareg is benefiting with the minerals that are in that region. They also within those agreements with Algeria and France, they are getting something out of it. Do you think they can just live just like that? No, even Algeria cannot just let them go, because once you put yourself, it's like what this guy is saying. It's being a witch. Once you put yourself in such things, it's witchcraft, because you always have to betray the other person.
The witchcraft is coming in the sense that they have the agreement already, but when they go to an unaligned states meeting, you find that they've already added
paragraphs, they've added some things that they are not even. It's just like having meetings with these people behind Mali's back. I mean, what is this that you're discussing without them? It's witchcraft.
Another thing which I can say is witchcraft is, we also saw when they were arguing last year in December 2023, after now these guys said it's getting too out of hand, we are calling our ambassador. We saw the newspapers in Algeria. They are calling the president of Mali. Now they are calling him pushist. You know, when they call you that, it's because you are not borrowing or buying their nonsensical narrative. So it's like they are pulling the Western card and calling them these pushists.
They don't recognize him as president anymore.
Yeah.
The disrespect. And it's good that Goita is a firm man.
Yeah, pushist Goita. That's yeah.
And their puppets are presidents. Get out of here.
Kudos to Abdoulaye Maiga, the Minister of State. Kudos to Goita Assimi and all the leaders of Mali. We salute you. Guys, let us know what you think about this Algiers movement. Have we left out something that you know? Let us know in the comment section, and we appreciate you. Thank you so much for your continued support for Africa, and we cannot wait to see you in our next video. Thank you so much. Bye bye.